What is up, everyone? Punmeister X here, bringing you some CSO gameplay today. And just so you guys are aware, I'm pretty shitty at this game, so don't expect any 360 no scopes or any of that kind of stuff. You know, I'm not MLG Pro. Sorry, guys. If you're looking for that, you might want to go to another channel right now. However, I'm still working on my gameplay. I'm getting better as the days go by. Just so you guys know, I've been playing this game for about a year now, so I'm still working on my aiming skills. I'm playing team deathmatch in this, by the way, but I'm still getting better. And hopefully, if you want to commentate on how bad my gameplay is, feel free. Tell me what I'm doing wrong so I can get better. Anyways, I'm choosing Counter-Strike as my gameplay today to talk about esports. So as of recently, ESPN started showing esports on their website, like news and stuff. And in my opinion, this is a really big deal because now ESPN, a major publication of sports and all that good stuff, is now considering esports to be a big deal now in competitive play or whatever. I know their CEO was saying that esports aren't real sports, but now they have recognized at least that it's worth paying attention to because it's a huge market and a pretty big deal in the gaming world. Now, it's funny because MLG was bought out by Activision, and Activision wanted to make them like a live TV show and be, quote, the ESPN of esports. And that's funny because now ESPN, ironically, is covering esports. So go Activision. Yeah, good one. Good one. Anyways, it's interesting because ESPN started showing Dota 2 tournaments on their live TV just to see if it worked or not, and now it seems like it's paid off. So let's talk about esports real quick as far as where it's come in the last, let's say, 10 years or so. So for me personally, I got into esports back in 2007 or so when they started showing MLG stuff on TV for Halo. And for me personally, I got really into competitive Halo. I thought about trying to go pro, but that never panned out. And it's probably for the best because I was good, but I never got to the point where I could compete with the best. I got pretty good at Halo 3 when it came out. Had a pretty high rank, almost got a 50. I kind of wish I did, but could never get through those ranks. So Halo 3 was kind of my big game. And then that kind of petered out a little bit. MLG kind of got, well, you know. So after that, I kind of really haven't been getting much into esports personally, but now that I've started playing CSGO and following what's going on in like League of Legends stuff, I've kind of gotten back into it. So now I'm going to be trying to get better at CSGO, even if I don't go pro, just as a hobby of some sort. But the scene itself has grown significantly in the last 10 years for sure. Now, I'm not just talking about MLG, but just in general, the rise of MOBAs, for example, League of Legends and Dota 2 have bring in such huge audiences now. I mean, if you go on Twitch, for example, and you look at the top games that are being streamed, it's always League of Legends, Dota 2, Counter-Strike. It's always those three. So it's become a big deal now that there's more ways to watch people get ready for esports, which I think is a big deal, the whole Twitch streaming. And now you can watch competitions on stream, which I think is a big deal because before it was kind of like, how do I watch esports online or just in general? And before it was like you can tune into MLG when they had their competitions, or you can go in person, but you know, that's some people can't do that. And now that you can watch it on Twitch or other live stream things, that's a huge deal, and that's helped grow esports and it's helped get more people involved. The fact that people outside of esports are getting interested. For example, I was reading on some of the ESPN articles of former like NBA players and former stars of different sports are now investing in esports teams and players, and it's kind of turning into like not really the draft from like the NFL or anything, but still something of signing players to teams or franchises. And I think that's pretty cool. Now, of course, the problem with that right now is nothing's really set in stone. There's no like there's no process of getting onto a team that's kind of like traditional at this point. You know, like how in the NFL you can go play at a university or so, and then after 3 years get drafted. Right now it's kind of like, well, you can go, if you get good enough, maybe people will recognize you, and it's actually a lot easier because you got the internet, you got YouTube, Twitch, whatever. Now the good thing with that is it's easier to get spotted if you're really good. At the same time, if you're like 16 or so and you're good enough to be on a pro team, is that person ready to play on the professional level? Because right now the big issue is that most people start retiring after a couple years or so, and most people don't last, like, say, more than 5 years. So that's become a big issue. As far as I see, that you have players that will stay good for maybe a year or two, have a good season, and then they have a shitty season, and then they drop out for that reason. I mean, that happened in the Halo community, for example, back in like Halo 3 days. When they switched from Halo 2 to Halo 3, a bunch of pro players dropped or retired. A bunch of pro players went to different teams, and then their teams started to not do as well as they did in Halo 2, and then those players retired because they weren't at that level. And it was interesting to watch. A lot of these players are mostly in, like, I don't know, their 20s or so. Right now, that's the big issue. So who knows what will happen. But I'll say this for sure. Esports is definitely on the rise, and we'll see where it goes from here.